Hi, how's it going, big guy?
All right, man. How are you?
I think I'm good. I'm good. I'm good because I'm reading all these posts by the Toronto Maple Leaf fans. And now it's like we're getting ready for 2028, 2029. He's coming home.
Well, it's like the worst kept secret, right?
Yeah,
Once you told me last week that the press conference was scheduled and they had to move, what was it, Kevin Carius' show from Monday to Tuesday
yep,
or event or whatever, it was kind of like, okay, well, sounds like we're going to have some sort of announcement, which is good.
yep,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, Brennan couldn't make it today. I wanted to get him on here, but he can't make it until Wednesday. But we definitely got to talk about this for Wednesday. So it's
Yeah.
just you. Um, I don't know, man. That at the onset, I mean, 12.5 million, not really getting a raise. 2 more years for a total of three sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like I was saying, you've indoctrinated me. I'm like thinking, okay, well, what happens past this, right? But I guess we can't
There's a
really worry
couple.
about this. No.
I mean, there's a lot to chew on here, right? So we're thinking about this. Like, let's be rational here. I know he wants to win. Uh, he was holding the cards. He could go anywhere he wanted to, right? He didn't have to stay with the Oilers, but I think he realized the team that he's got here in Edmonton is probably his best chance to win. You've got Draisaitl, you've got some of the core pieces locked up. You also locked up Wallman today. That shouldn't go on the wayside because that's a huge signing for the Oilers. Another top 4D guy who's solid, and he's there for another 7 years. So why would he give a massive discount like that to the Edmonton Oilers if he did not love the city and he did not love the team? I mean, you're leaving at least $5 million on the table, in my estimation. He had every opportunity to sign, and I think deservedly so, to be at 17.5 above Kaprizov, right? But he took a $5 million discount, in my opinion, just to stay in Edmonton. And then when you're looking at 2 years down the road from now, Liam, we're looking at a cap of $120 million. At that time, he can cash in. If he's got one or two cups under his belt, hopefully, he can cash in and he can stay with the Oilers or he can go someplace else. But as far as the fan base is concerned in the Edmonton, nothing but respect, right? The guy is doing everything he can to give the Edmonton Oilers a chance to win, and he's put his money, no pun intended, his money where his mouth is. And here we are, $12.5 million for a player like McDavid is an absolute steal, right?
We can agree on that for sure. Whether or not you agree with the short term versus long term and whatever, I think we can all agree on that he definitely wants to win, and he's showing that by by leading by example, right?
Yeah,
Um, I know, I know. If you look at the free agency, well, one thing before we jump into all this, I don't really understand this, but once Kaprizov's deal was announced and it was made official, heard so many people. Frank Savarelli was leading the charge, and I even got a couple messages today from some Canuck fans saying
yeah,
that David did the Oilers a favor because there's no way they could have afforded him. Um, and I just don't understand that. Like, um, if you with the cap going up next year, I think we were mocking up the the uh, the cap space, including 20 million. We had 20 million earmark for him, and I think we were at 50 million or something like that. And then even with his 20 million, we would still have somewhere in the 40s, would we not, if we accounted for it?
yeah. I'm not sure if it would still be there now with the Wallman signing as well, right? Because
Yeah,
that's a
with the
$7 million
Walmart money,
cap.
no. But this whole thing about the Oilers can't afford him, I just
Right.
it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers as we're speaking, Liam, and for the 20 for next year, the 26-27 season, the Oilers are estimated at about, with the signings that they have, about 49 to $50 million. That includes McDavid's 12 and a half, and obviously Draisaitl's 14. And the players that we have on there still, like, we have Nuge, we still have Hyman, Frederick's obviously there, and we have Mangiapane for his last year. So a lot of the core pieces are there, right? The guys who are going to be gone are people like that we wanted probably gone, like a Henrique, you know, Kapanen we might sign, we might not, but there's a lot of cap space, and if the cap is going to be at about close to $100 million, you have $50 million left. How could they not afford him? I mean, I'm taking into account his $12.5 million already. They could
Yeah,
have
I
paid
mean,
him
well,
17, 18 million, right?
let's say we add another 8 million to that, right? We still had how much left? We would have had like 40 something $million left,
Yeah,
giving him 20 million, right?
yeah.
So that
And you
whole
have all your
concept
four
about,
pieces.
yeah, that whole concept about not being able to afford him, I don't know where that started. But yeah, uh, you know, going forward here, obviously we're in win now mode for sure. Looking at this and always just kind of trying to be realistic about all this. And I mean, we're going all out for one cup, and this is kind of, it's sad because when we started on this journey, all 10 years ago now, that was my biggest fear. It was like, we shouldn't be just trying to go for one cup, right? We should be
Yeah,
looking at
yeah,
doing multiple cups. I mean, this is probably the league that's the hardest to win.
yeah.
It's becoming more and more difficult to win championships all across in professional sports, just because just the numbers, right? The teams, but in the next 3 years, if we win one cup and consider that a victory, I don't know if I would consider that a victory, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, a lot's not riding. One thing's for sure here. What I'm looking at right now is that there's really a lot of added pressure on the Oilers. I think the writing's on the wall for them, right? McDavid's basically saying, yeah, he might stay beyond the 2 years. He might hit a home run contract with the Oilers worth $22 million a year, and deservedly so. Or, he could line up all the teams in the league, to bid for his services. Either way, the pressure's on the Edmonton Oilers now. You have a 3-year window, including this year, to do something, right? And he didn't leave a little bit of money on the table. He's left enough money on the table where he could go out and get a decent
Three
goalie.
solid players, yeah.
Yeah, bring somebody that's going to make a difference maker, right?
Like even 2 stars, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
Maybe not. Maybe one star, right? 8 million
yeah.
bucks,
But I
right?
think there's a lot of guys who are, even at the trade deadline, they take discounts just to go to a team to win. Look at what Marchand did last, with the Bruins, going from the Bruins to. So they're going to be guys available, and now you've got a little bit of a flexibility there with the discount that he's taken. But having said all of this, Salim, I have to kind of like, the one thing nobody's talking about is, we'll see the effects of this coming over the next few days, is how other players around the league feel. How is Billy Guerin feeling right now? What is he thinking about Kaprizov, like really squeezing them for every dollar he possibly could? So there's gonna be some discomfort with the players. McDavid taking a big discount like that. Everybody knows he's leaving money on the table, but there are guys out there that are still trying to hit that home run. I mean, in New York, Panarin's trying to get something massive again, right? So this kind of like maybe derails some of those thoughts, even with the management thinking like, why can't you take a discount when a guy like McDavid is taking a discount, right?
I mean, yeah, like you don't really see this often. I mean, you can go to last time I guess is in football with
Yeah,
New England and Tom Brady, right? He was taking team friendly deals where he wasn't the highest paid. I don't even know if he was top five, but there you don't really see this often, right?
right.
The best player in the league is usually the guy that's making the most of it. Yeah, I agree. I think that it's going to be interesting. Like Minnesota, honestly, I'm not really sure what's going on there with Minnesota. They didn't really need to pay him as much as they paid him. They just there's that other concept that Brendan brought up last pod, which we don't really take into account, but the marketability, being able to put people in the seats, um, and just having optimism in the city, right? I think that maybe for a team like Minnesota, that means a lot more than and they're getting a lot more in that sense. But I mean, then
Right.
you turn around and you see what they did with their goaltender. Um, I don't know. Could they have maybe turned Kaprizov into multiple players from the Rangers or something like that, and made and fielded a better team? Maybe. Um, but there's certain environments where there's pressure to be good, but not pressure to win.
Right.
And I guess we got to take that into account. New York, I mean, going to Winnipeg too. Do you see Kyle Connor coming in and taking less now because of this? I don't know. And what's going to happen with Panarin? Look at Eichel. Eichel still hasn't signed yet. What's going to happen there, right?
Yeah, I have heard some rumblings about Eichel wanting Draisaitl money. So he's probably going to be pushing. And the understanding with with the Vegas Knights was that uh, they are going to be paying him more than Marner. So when they signed Marner for 12 and a half, the understanding was amongst them that when Eichel's bill comes up, it's going to be more than Marner's signing. So he is
What
looking at
is
a
14?
14-ish.
What did
That's what he's
what
looking
did
at.
what did Marner sign for? Did he sign for 8 years?
He went long term, 12 and a half. We could only do seven. Well, actually, was it a sign and trade?
It was a sign and it
Yeah,
was it
sign
a
and
sign and
trade. So he
trade?
did
It
the
was a
fully.
sign
Yeah,
and trade because they got,
yeah,
yeah, so they got him for eight,
yeah,
probably
yeah. 12 and a half.
8 years, 12 and a half. Man, wouldn't that be crazy if McDavid took that same deal?
Yeah, I mean,
It's
he could have. He makes his money from other things, right? Like we just talked about it,
he
advertising.
could have.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, but leaving that kind of money, I can understand $1 or $2 million to be a cap, team friendly. Leaving $5-6 million on the table for the team is really saying, you know what? I've heard all of this talk about the Florida Panthers and how their players are taking massive discounts. Here you go. I single-handedly will give you enough discount where it's equivalent to two players signing in Florida and getting that kind of a discount. So the Oilers need to step up here. I mean, now if you're a fan, if you agree or don't agree, the one thing is clear: the Edmonton Oilers cannot mess this up. It's time to
Nope.
step up and get something going here, right?
And on that note, is Stan Bowman the guy?
I think give him a fair shake. He hasn't done anything that's detrimental to the team. He has signed some good players. He's found some young players for us, Alim, which was at the center of this. And I think now that more and more of the media is kind of speculating, but more of the information that's coming out is McDavid's need was to get younger. He wanted a younger team. He wanted the younger players. I wonder, and I think you mentioned this too, the departures of Holloway and Broberg, if that really impacted him, that maybe he was not a big fan of that, right? We homegrown talent, high draft picks, they just walk out the door for nothing. And I think that rubbed them the wrong way. And now Bowman came out, and this is a quote from him today, saying that he wanted to see young players, and we've basically given him that, right? We don't have a lot of top 10 picks over the next few years, just because of where the team is going to be ending up. And so, but we have gone out and we've brought in young players, and this is Bowman's strength. He's always done that. He's found talent in Europe. He's found talent in the NCAA ranks. So I wouldn't mind giving him another, couple of years just to see how
Well, I
this
think
pans out.
there's no there's this is the way we're going to go. We can't bring in another GM at this point, right?
No way.
Um,
No way.
we need some continuity, but I mean, with that whole thing that we're talking about right now, the Broberg Holloway situation, and to be clear, this is obviously most people know this, but that was not on Bowman. That was on Jeff Jackson.
Right.
And that's the other thing too. I mean, like the organization has done whatever they can to make McDavid feel comfortable, to appease him. One of the big things being hiring his agent to become the president of hockey operations, and that's one of the things that his guy did, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if the rumors are true that he's very detail oriented, he wants to be part of these decision making and stuff. If he's mad, he should be mad at his guy, right? He shouldn't be mad at the organization because his guy was the guy who, on his watch, let that happen.
Possible.
Right?
Yeah, it is possible he's upset with Jackson because he's only signed a 2-year contract here, right? And we can speculate whatever we want to, but 2 years is only 2 years, and he's only going to be 31 years old by the time this contract is done. There's teams that are still licking their chops. He's in absolute prime of his career. He's going to have tons of gas left in the tank. He's going to hit a home run, and I think more so now. I think teams are thinking for sure he's leaving in 2 years, just like you and I are thinking. If he's only signing a 2-year, now we have an opportunity to go out and get this guy.
I think that's the big thing, right? Now that teams have seen that they might be a chance, they're going to put their best foot forward, I think, with 2 years or 3 years from now in mind. That said, still can't go, back to what he was saying at the beginning, right? I mean, a lot of what he was saying was, we need to figure out what the best course of action here is. And if I feel like the team's going to win and has a chance to continue to win, signing here is not a problem. And I think there's a lot of logic and it makes a lot of sense on what you were saying previously, that he's making sure that everybody's on their toes, and he's just keeping everybody accountable. It's not a foregone conclusion, although it may feel like it a little bit, that, hey, he's only signed for 2 years. We got 3 more years. But I also think that we're going to see where this team's going. If they're going to continue to ice a competitive team, if they're going to continue to improve, I think has no problem re-signing, but I think he's going to, we might see another 2 years, right? And then another, and he might be going in the form of 2 years going forward. Because
let's talk about the Liam. I'm looking at the cap friendly here, and or Puckpedia rather, and for next year, right now we have basically no cap space at all. But next year, taking into account the Wallman signing and of course the McDavid signing now, we will still have about almost $23 million in cap space, right? That's for next year. The cap is projected to be at about $104 million, and listening to some people talk about it right now, they're saying that there's very good indication that it's going to be higher than even that. But let's just say it's 104. We have about $22 million, but you have to remember Ekholm is going to be out. We have to re-sign a couple of key players that are going to be out of a contract. 27, 28, we're going to have about $41 million in cap space. That's what McDavid obviously is still signed. 28, 29, we're sitting at $60 million in cap space. But the likes of Hyman, Nuge, some of the core guys that are there are gone. And I believe that also our friend Bouchard is going to be coming up as well. He's going to be demanding something massive because he didn't sign long-term.
That'll be 4 years, right? So he's essentially, Bouchard and McDavid are coming up at the same time. Is that not right?
That's because pretty much it.
From this year, right? And it's a 4-year deal.
Yeah, so $60 million. The way I'm thinking is 2029. So let's just say Oilers even offer $20 million to McD. They're going to have $40 million to sign basically Bouchard and replace the likes of Nugent Hopkins, Hyman. If they're signing, they're going to be signing obviously at a lower cap, but they're not going to be the same players. We have to now, and this is what McDavid's thinking, if these guys are on their way out, who's coming in to replace a perennial 50-goal scorer like Hyman or a guy like Nuge, who's an awesome two-way? We don't have those players in the system right now. How are we going to go and get these guys? Are we just going to keep on trading the way we have and kind of hoping that it works out like a Perry did or like an Arvidsson didn't? I don't think he has time for that. In 2 years, he's going to evaluate which team is set up with a bunch of really good young talent. And I can name a handful of teams like New Jersey, Montreal, Anaheim. These teams have set themselves up with the young talent where a guy like McDavid could walk in and he has all of those pieces in there, right? Where are the Oilers going to be in comparison with these other teams? And that's what we're going to be watching now over the next 2 years. It's not so much just winning the Stanley Cup, but what is Bowman going to do with this young talent that's missing on the team right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's a juggling act because it's not like on the one hand, it is win, all on, for the next 3 years, we got to be in win now mode, but we can't forget that we need to be icing a competitive lineup. And look, let's say McDavid does end up leaving. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but let's say it does. I would hope that Edmonton wouldn't let him go for nothing, right? And there would be people coming back, or at least draft capital or something coming back, because we would still have, a franchise player in Leon Draisaitl that, it's not like if McDavid leaves, it's over, right?
The thing, okay, so I'm looking again at Puckpedia, and he has the full no movement clause. So unless he waives that, how are we going to trade the guy? I mean, he can. One thing that we've already discussed, you and I offline, is that if he's going to go to a team, let's just say in New Jersey or in Anaheim, he's not going to let the Oilers fleece them for everything they have, and then McDavid goes into a team that's skeleton crew because we took everything from them. He's not going to do that either, right?
True, but I just don't see him just going to another team and being like, sorry guys, I don't see that happening. I think he would entertain a sign and trade deal. I also, again, like I said, if the team does well, I don't think he's gonna go. I still don't think he's gonna go.
I hope you're right. I really do.
Well, the other thing as well, right? Like this is the only organization that he knows. The grass is not always greener on the other side, right? Leaving to a different organization, you're not gonna, like, if you look at if you look at the NBA, right? Laker fans don't really treat LeBron like they did Kobe, right?
Yeah.
There's all that to think about as well, right? Um, you know what? At the end of the day, we've got a couple more years to, debate on this stuff. Immediately in front of us right now is what are we going to do this year? I do think, though, looking at the preseason, you might agree. I think you'll agree. Especially if they're going to play Connor and Leon together, there doesn't really seem to be a whole lot, after that for offense. And I'm wondering where the offense is going to come, and I think other people are wondering that as well.
Yeah.
What happens this year? Like, they're going to have some creative movements and stuff, and don't be surprised if Ike Howard is sent down. These are all paper transactions that we'll see over the next couple of days in order for us to have the most cap compliant, so that we can start accruing LTIR for Hyman, right? So there's going to be a bunch of moves and whatever, but I mean, even if we maximize that, we're going to have like $1 million in a little bit. What are we going to get for $1 million in a little bit? How are we going to do this, right? I think you mentioned you heard that. Don't be surprised to see a roster player move, right?
Yeah, there is some rumors. I mean, like you said, there's not much there for us to trade, but it would be the likes of a Kapanen. The only player we have, and I'm totally against this, is Kulak. I don't want to see him traded, but he is coming towards the end of his contract, and he's a very serviceable defenseman. I really like the guy. I think he's really underrated for what he does. So we have a couple of roster players we can get rid of: Janmark, Kapanen, Kulak. What are you going to get for those guys? They're serviceable guys. They're your bottom, they're Swiss Army knife for the two forwards that go up and down your lineup. You're not going to go get somebody, excuse me, that's going to be a difference maker, right? So we are a little bit stuck with this year. I think this year is going to be that year where the team is going to try the likes of Regula and Savoy and Howard, give them a little bit of a leash. I think one thing that the fans are critical of, I think, just reading online, is these guys are probably good players, and I think of those players I mentioned, Savoy is the one guy I really want to see a little bit more of. What are you going to see if you're giving him 5 minutes a game, 6 minutes a game? You got to give him a little bit more leash. So, I mean, the times that he's played really well. But I think this is what's irking McDavid as well, is you got to give these guys some experience, NHL level, so we could see what they're capable of. And then hopefully don't trade him like a Holloway and let him walk, or like a Broberg when you start performing.
I think we've gone back and forth on this. Why are we playing Connor and Leon together then? Right? Why don't we split them up, and why don't we give them one of these wingers for 20 games?
Yeah.
And I think we know the answer to that. I think that this Connor Leon duo, I think Brendan might have mentioned this, maybe not, but we were talking about this offline. This lineup that we have is still good enough to beat 75% of the league. And with the condensed schedule, I think that's the strategies we're going to go in. We're going to try and rack up as many points as possible.
Yes.
I mean, that seems like where they're headed. But again, the downside to that is what's going to happen
afterwards.
And I mean, the other night we were watching Vancouver on the power play. Their power play was buzzing. I saw a little bit of the Seattle Kraken game, but Vancouver also has their second unit that can move the puck around as well. We just never developed that second unit, right? And then you got guys like Mangiapane. Last game against Vancouver, he was actually playing pretty good towards as the game wore on. And then I think he got a couple shifts with Connor and Leon, and he actually almost had some great scoring chances, almost put the puck in the net. And then he's not on the power play, not even on power play 2, right? There's that whole thing, like the guy from Carolina, the guy who's still RFA, I forgot his name. You know what I'm talking about, the winger.
Mm-hmm.
Edmonton, there's rumors that Edmonton offered him a contract, kind of a show me contract, because this was like 2-3 weeks into free agency, and he said no. And I mean, I can't help but think that maybe, the whole Skinner Arvidsson thing is probably, one of the reasons why he said no, because are you going to get an opportunity, or is it just going to be,
well, he's still a free agent, right? Roslovich, we're talking about, he's still a free agent.
Yeah, exactly.
And he might play in Europe because he said no to the Oilers, but I wonder why he would say no. listen, I don't want to speculate, but I mean, you look at the Oilers cap space and what they had, and maybe the guy thinks he deserves a lot more than what the Oilers tabled for him, right? For a third line center. Maybe that's why he
Possible.
said no, right?
Possible. I
Um,
mean, but even then, the opportunity to come here as a show
yeah,
me, like a year deal, um, who knows what they offered him? But let's just say he thinks he's worth 5 and they offered him 3 or 2.5 or something. If there's no other contracts that are on the table, why not take that? The reason he doesn't take that, I think, just again speculation, no insider knowledge or
yeah,
anything, but like, well, he probably saw Skinner and Arvidsson and what happened there, and am I going to get the right opportunity, right, to
yeah. I mean,
succeed?
now he's waiting and he's not getting any other offers. Apparently, he's just sitting there. He might end up in Europe. Who knows?
But
But
where I'm going with this is how many other players might have that sentiment if that's a thing,
yeah.
and going forward, is that going to hurt us in the next couple of years, right?
Well, and you're onto something there, right? Because we know that McDavid gets involved in a lot of the recruiting process. So does Draisaitl, right? We only hear about the guys that actually end up in Edmonton. We don't know about the guys that they call and they get rejected, right? Who knows? They might be calling other players and they'd be like, no, we don't want to come to Edmonton for whatever reason, right? But you know, as a critical thinking fan, and that's all I am. I'm no pro or anything like that. I'm looking at their schedule and I'm looking at the first, I think, 12 games. Oilers are going to be on the road, I think, for like 10 of the first 12 games or something like that. Okay. And it's really hard matchups. They're going to the East Coast. There's, you know, a bunch of games that are against some of the top teams in the East Coast. Maybe Knobloch's thinking we can't start slow. We can't start slow where we're coming out and we're even at 500 after these first 10 or 12 games. He wants to come out guns ablaze. We want to be at least at a maybe 8-3 or 8-4 record. So at least we have because that's what essentially cost us a lot of home ice over the last couple of years is the slow ass starts. You know, you can't underestimate the 6 or 8 points that these guys leave on the table every year because they start really slow. And I think
For
that's
sure.
the thinking is put these guys on the same line and see if we can maybe get past that.
For sure, and I think that's what the mindset is. And I mean, McDavid, right on opening day, that's exactly what he said. He's like, hopefully we can get off to a good start here. We've been saying that. We need to get off to a good start. Um, I mean, yeah, I guess we're gonna have to see what happens. The schedule being condensed, I think, has a lot. There's a lot of I think strategizing going on. There's a lot of it's not as cut and dry as we think it is, and that main reason for that is because the schedule's condensed.
Yeah. Well, I think it's favorable to the Oilers in the second half, and every analyst is saying that we have a lot of home games in the second half. We have, reasonable amount of time in between games. So as far as the schedule is concerned, it's supposed to be one of the most favorable ones for a team in the second half is the Oilers, which is great because every year towards the middle of the season they kind of take their foot off the gas, especially around the All-Star game or after Christmas. They are really sluggish. I don't know how much turkey they have. But it's like we're trying to shake that off. You're going to be the 12th seed.
McDavid's usually, yeah. I mean, he usually hits his stride right around January, February, and then he takes off. And there's a bit of
Yeah,
time where he's carrying the team, right?
that can't
Um,
happen. We need
they
these
can't.
guys specially. I can't say it enough. You need your core not to be carrying these guys. I mean, I hate the Panthers, and I do hate them with a passion. But they have 4 lines that contribute on a nightly basis. You don't have one guy that stands out. Look at their team, top to bottom, everybody scoring. How many 20-goal scorers did they have? From the first line to the fourth line, somebody's contributing at all. Not like the Oilers, where you got 140-point guy, 130-point guy, and the next guy's at 50 points. You can't have that. Come on.
I agree. But again, it comes down to we need to be giving these guys opportunities in the season,
We're in
right?
agreement. This makes
And
for bad pod here, but I agree with you for once. We're not fighting here, and that sucks.
yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. At least this whole drama about will he sign is behind us. We don't have to listen to Leaf fans. I mean, we're still going to have to listen to Leaf fans that enjoy the last 2 years and this and that. But I think, I mean, I'm really interested in seeing what happens with Thomasek.
Yes.
And
He's looked okay. He's not bad, eh?
he looks pretty good. But there's guys like that. I think that is going to make or break our team, right? because I mean regular as well, right? That's a Stan Bowman favorite, and
Yeah.
I mean this guy is no slouch. I know Brennan would probably disagree with me when I was saying, I'm really impressed by him as a fringe guy. Those are the
Yeah.
guys that turn into guys. Like, look at that Mikola guy
Yeah.
from Florida, right? He was a fringe guy, and he ended up playing a huge role. And
Yeah.
Regula's not really. I mean, he played with Bouchard in junior, right? He was his defensive pair guy, right? And two
Yeah.
right-handers on the same defensive pair. These are guys that I think are going to. I mean, Noah Felp. Felp was, he was there before Bowman, but these are guys that are going to have to step up. Obviously, Savoy, Howard. As much as I was hating on him a little bit, I think he got better as the preseason went on.
And I thought he would. I mean, you got to give the guy a break. He's not NHL. He hasn't played, so yeah, he'll find his feet.
I mean, the one thing I would like to see a bit more of though is a bit more fire. I feel like Savoy's got more battle, more motor, more fire, but that might come when the season starts, right? There's some guys who just can't do it in preseason. Who knows, right?
Yeah, and on that note, while I'm looking at some of these players right now, who we have, let's just start with the D for next year. The guys who are signed is Bouchard. We got Darnell Nurse. Those two guys are $20 million right there. And then you got Jake Wallman, and you got Ty Emberson on his last year before he's a UFA. The guys who are off the team, if we don't resign, are going to be Matthias Ekholm, Brett Kulak, Troy Stetcher, who I really like. I think he's the perfect number 7 guy who comes in and out, and he gives 100% every game. But we it's going to be up to guys like Regula, right? He's in. Ty Emberson's in. Let's see what these guys do over the next 2 years. The only top 3 we have that are signed is going to be Bouchard, Nurse, and Wallman. And I think I think we both know that Ekholm was probably going to take a team friendly. He really loves Edmonton. It reminds him of Sweden because it's nice and cold, just like home. So maybe he'll take a 3.
He probably will, but he can't be on the top pairing. He's not a top 4 defenseman anymore.
No, I think the guys like you mentioned, like Regula is going to have to step up. I think Ty Emberson has a lot of game, and I think he's going to improve as we go. I'm not sure they're going to be ready by next year, though. Let's see how much.
They got some guys in the minors. They got that Boaki guy. They have another defenseman. This guy hasn't looked so bad. This guy,
Lappinen.
Yeah,
Lappinen.
he looks good.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
He's also improved defensively. Like if compared to the first couple games I saw, his stick's improving. He's offensively, he's sharp. Right?
I agree. He looks great. I really like the guy. I really hope that he makes the team or they bring him back up. I think they were kind of reluctant sending him down, but they have to probably try out Regula and see what happens there.
Yeah, that too. But I don't think they're happy with his defense, right? They just feel like he needs to
He's an
work
offensive
on that.
guy. Yeah. He's an offensive guy. Yeah. And we already have Bouchard and in terms of the offensive men. And I mean, to some degree, even Kulak, I love the way he moves the puck up and down the ice. I really, really hope that he resigns with the Oilers I mean, what we have him for right now at 2.75 is a bargain for Kulak, I think.
For what he does, absolutely. Especially the way he elevates in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I don't see us being able to keep all 3 of the guys that you mentioned. Stetcher, I think, is in tough. I like Stetcher as well, but I think he's in tough. I'm not even sure if he makes this year's roster. I think they're going with Regula and Emberson probably, right? They're not gonna unless they're gonna carry a demon. I just don't see that happen.
Yeah, I mean, so you mentioned Noah Felp. I mean, he's right now on a $775 contract this year. James Hamblin, they're both on the team at the moment, but they're on there last year as well, right? Next year they're UFAs. I don't know if we're going to be resigning these guys. Only guy we have really as a RFA will be Savoy and Howard, wherever he is. I don't even see him on the team at the moment. But
they signed Howard to 3 years, but they're letting him burn his entry level, so he's only got like 2 years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
a lot of work.
Tomasek is going to be UFA too next year as well, right? So he has only this year to
clear waivers apparently though this year, so he might be sent down just for paper moves, right? Like I don't think you're going to move because I think Regula and Felp need waivers.
Right.
I think Tomasek might get moved, and then they might bring in Hamlin and then throw him down and bring him back up. All these paper transactions in the next couple of days. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, let's see now. We can finally, put this behind us and focus on hockey. Wednesday night.
Big night, man. What are the predictions? I think the team is now psyched. I think the McDavid signing is really gonna lighten up the mood. You could say whatever you want, and the players can say all the right things, but it's gonna be in the back of everybody's mind. I mean, he's your team captain, and if he's unsigned and your head coach is unsigned, now these guys are out of the way, and you have some, okay, we have some security. He's here this year, next couple of years. Now the focus is, and you could see in McDavid's eyes. I mean, all the years he's been here, have you seen him this focused? I mean, his eyes scare me, man. He looks like he's on a mission.
Yeah, he looks pretty angry.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully he'll shoot the puck a bit more. He keeps talking about that, and then you see him just making all these dumb passes.
Yep.
I think we roll them this year. I think we get out of the gates and we roll them. We got smoked last year, I think, right? And I think the year before, didn't we get smoked as well?
Well, I mean, I just think that the team ran out of juice. It was the older guys, the older statesmen who were all gone, with the exception of Henrique, and that's because Henrique didn't want to wait his no trade, right? Everybody else is gone. Perry's gone, and Arvidsson's gone, and anybody who was older is pretty much off the team.
Just talking about the opener. I think I agree. I think that what you were saying. I think even Bowman came out and said something about wanting to get younger. Yeah. But again, that falls on his guy, right?
That's right.
McDavid, that's Jeff Jackson, right? He's the one who went out. He signed Henrique. He signed Perry. The Perry deal was all right, not a bad deal. He ended up 19 goals, pretty good. Who else did he bring? And then he went and made those Skinner deal, Arvidsson deal, but he's the one who signed. I think he signed Janmark as well. That's your guy, right? So I mean, Oilers brought him in. He's the one who made the decision that he didn't need a GM, and he went on and made all these moves, and then he goes and hires his GM. Yeah. How much does the organization, wear that versus it's your guy at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I hear you, man. I mean, let's see what Bowman does. Right now, it's careful moves. He's saying all the right things and stuff like that. But what do you see? Do you think after this year, let's just say that it turns out, and obviously we have our hands tied. We can't get anybody at the trade deadline unless we make a trade, or it's going to be a minor ad. It's not going to be anything major. So by the end of this year, if the Oilers don't make a run at the playoffs, and let's just say they are out by the second round against the Dallas Stars, for example, what happens? Do you think Bowman stays or he goes?
I think you got to keep him. You can't. How are you going to? You need continuity, right? You can't keep switching guys out. I mean, in my opinion, it was a big mistake to let a guy like Holland go. Holland wanted to come back, maybe not as the GM role, maybe let him be a senior advisor, so you have the same mindset. Like Holland turned this thing around in 2019 pretty much right away. And I mean, Holland's mindset was, we build a competitive team, we build around these guys, but we field competitive teams. And there's going to be some years that the goal is to make playoffs for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And then you got these guys as cornerstones. But then, we talk about culture, right? You're not going to build culture if you keep switching people out back and forth, left and right, right?
I agree with you on a lot of those points, and I love Holland. Despite of what people say, I think he made some really significant moves. The Ekholm's trade was unreal. I love the guy for that, because he had the kahunas to make those bigger trades, which a lot of GMs don't.
At that time, Barry was running the best power play in the league, and Barry was actually uptrending, playing pretty good. To make that move, and to also recognize that was two moves, right? Because they gave something up for Ekholm, but then also that opened up space for Bouchard to thrive as well, right?
That's right. You have to do that. You have to make those moves. Only knock on Holland was the overripening of young talent in the AHL, which I didn't agree with. I think had he been here, he would have pushed that kind of an agenda where these young players that McDavid wants on the roster. Let's be honest, and I'm going to say this. Had Holland not been the GM, we probably would have had Broberg and Holloway still as Oilers, because they would have had more of an opportunity to play on the team. Maybe not so much with Holloway because he was injured and whatnot, but I think Broberg didn't really get a fair shake here. I'll just come out and say it. And that's on Holland, because we did have a way of inserting him into the lineup. And when he came out and he did play reasonable. At times he was not playing at all, sitting in the press box when he could have been playing in the AHL. So I don't like the way they handled the Broberg
I think they were
situation. That
trying
was
to
all.
do. I mean, if you remember, during the lockout, not the lockout, but the shortened year when they had Canadian team, Canadian division, whatever. Bouchard played the entire year with the team, and he sat and he watched and he just learned and absorbed. I think they were trying to do a little bit of that with Broberg. I just don't think Broberg was having it. But also, you can blame Holland for that. But what about the coaching? Dave Manson and Jay Woodcroft picking Vinny
Yeah.
Desharnais over Broberg. I understand Manson likes the left and the right, whatever. But come on, man, you got your number 8 overall pick, and
Yeah.
you're picking Vinny Desharnais over him.
Don't mess around. I mean, he could have had more ice time. You could have kept him happy. The fact that he kind of indicated that he wants to be out of Edmonton if he doesn't get playing time, that should have set off alarm bells. He's, like you said, a number 8 pick. You don't mess something like that up, right? But
But I
I
think
mean,
I think that's where Jackson. There's rumors and whatnot. We don't know. We just hear things. Jackson didn't even pick up the telephone and have a conversation with them. Right?
so do you
Thinking, oh,
think
you're an RFA. We have all the cards, right?
you? But do you think McDavid, obviously Jackson being McDavid's agent, and we all thought to some capacity Kenny Holland would be back with the Oilers. He even so much said that he doesn't mind having a different position within the organization. Do you think that McDavid had anything to do with his departure, saying, "Hey, Jackson, buddy, I don't want Kenny back because of his decisions around these younger players"?
Maybe, but I mean that happened. That happened after, right? Like
Right?
this whole thing with
Yeah, yeah.
Holland and everything happened during. I don't know. I mean, I would like to think that he stays out of that stuff, but it's really hard for me to believe that that's actually the case, right?
Personalities, and we talked about this offline. Aline, we're in a different. I mean, we're old school, Gen X kind of guys that saw, players stay with the same team and stay loyal no matter what. We watched the Stevie Eisermans, the Joe Sakic's, you name it. These players that were absolutely loyal, and we talked about Gretzky. He's gone on record, even though he was playing for all these other teams when he was in LA and when he was in New York and even a short stint in St. Louis, he was always thinking about the Oilers. He was always following the Oilers. He always wished he was still with the Edmonton Oilers. And you can't find that kind of loyalty in today's game. Unfortunately, there's far and few. We got Sid Crosby, but he's also old school in my eyes. Malkin, Crosby, Ovi, these guys are done. Now we got a mentality of team building and, taking my talents, like the NBA, to a team that gives me the best opportunity. You know what I mean?
We'll see. I mean, we'll see. I think that for guys like Leon, Connor, it's important for them to finish their careers. I still think so. Could be wrong. Have no idea.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
We'll see. But yeah. So let's wrap up here. We gotta get going here. What do you think is gonna happen? You think we win on Wednesday?
Oh yeah, come on. I mean, the team is now totally hyped. The Flames are looking okay, but they got pounded 8-1 by the Canucks, and they actually were icing their full lineup, almost their full lineup.
Much their full lineup, yeah.
Yeah, so in their mind, something's going on. The sophomore thing with the goalie, because Wolf is now in his second year, so he might be taking a small step back. But I think the Oilers are coming out pumped, knowing their captain is signed, no distractions. Let's go and win.
I hope so. The last couple of openers, they've been stinkers. So hopefully we can, bounce back on those. And then I'm looking forward to Saturday night.
Yes.
Is that in Edmonton or is that in Vancouver? It's in Edmonton, right?
Honestly, you put me on the spot. I think it's in Vancouver, but if it's in Edmonton, even better. Maybe I'll make the trip out.
Can't remember. I think it's in Edmonton. But yeah, man. All right, we'll get back on here soon. Hopefully we can Brendan out again.
Okay.
Let's we can go and celebrate a little bit that we've got this dude for another couple years at least. But
yeah, man, stoked.
There's still work to be done. A lot of it.
That's
And
right.
I'm going to be watching. I'm really excited to see what a guy like Bowman will do.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Oil Nation has a lot to look forward to over the next 2 to 3 years. There's going to be a lot of exciting moves, I think, because their focus is going to be win and get a cup to Edmonton at any cost. And don't be critical if they get rid of some top end talent to bring in something they need, because I see that happening.
And I mean, you're going to have to make some tough moves, right? Some of these guys might need to You got to get younger. You got to get, if you want to keep it going. But we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, bud. We'll chat soon.
Awesome, man. Congrats, Oiler Nation. Till next time.